lasted like 5 months. One day I came home and I left my key, and so I knocked on the door. My auntie didn't hear me, so I looked through the window for her, and I saw her holding a cup of coffee, and her hand was shaking like this when she held it, and I thought, that's really weird, you know? So when I finally got her attention and she came to the door, I asked her, I said, so Judy, what happened? What's with the coffee, you know? And she just broke down and she said, you know, I didn't want anyone to know. She said, but I'm dying. And the doctors had told her she had a very aggressive form of multiple sclerosis. And it was eating away at her nerves, and she couldn't control her impulses anymore. So at 15, 16, almost 16, I found myself caring for my auntie as she died. Seeing my uncle become so angry and distorted, you know, emotionally as a woman who was his rock died. Seeing her 2 kids, Kenny and Kelly, my cousins, completely not understanding what was going on, you know? And then all of a sudden I was back in the streets again because my uncle didn't want anything to do with me anymore. I was angry. He was angry. You know, we were angry at each other for no reason other than she was gone. And so right then I was listening to the doctors, and they kept saying it was the microwaves, it was the preservatives in the hot dogs, it was the, you know, it was the Diet Cokes, it was the fast food, you know, and that's what killed her. So right then it was pretty easy for me to make a decision that I wasn't going to let that happen to me. So I began to eat different than they ate. I began to look for teachers who could teach me another way. And the teachers I found were amazing people. If you've heard of Ann Wigmore, she was the mother of wheatgrass. If you've heard of wheatgrass, everybody knows about it now, but when she began to teach people about it, nobody knew about it. And she brought people to a place in Boston called the Hippocrates Institute. And at the Hippocrates Institute, people would come who were so desperate, who were so near death, that their skin would be without color and their eyes would be jaundiced, and they would not be able to smile. They had no reason to smile, and they had a smell about them that if you've ever been around somebody who's about to die, it's really weird smell. And they all came there like that, and I would go there just a little, you know, young man, and had my tray of energy soup and Rejuvenac and wheatgrass juice and all these live fermented, you know, foods that Anne had learned from her people, her European ancestors, and she used it to cure her own gangrene when the doctors swore she would need to be amputated. And after she cured her own gangrene, she began to want to share what she learned with other people, and she opened this institute. And there I sat helping these people, and it was very difficult because, you know, I saw them near death, but then I would bring them this green juice 3 or 4 or 5 times a day, different forms of living food. And after 2 or 3 days, you'd see some color start to return to their skin. After about 5 days, you'd see the jaundice in the eyes start to go away. 10 days later, you could actually see white in their eyes. And then by about 2 weeks, you knew. Because if that smell would go away, you knew they were going to make it. But if it didn't, you knew they weren't. And after watching my auntie die, I just couldn't take it anymore. So one day I went to Anne and I said, you know, I love what you're doing. You're amazing. You're an angel. You're the modern Mother Teresa. I really believe that. I said, but Mother Teresa was alive, but I meant, you know, you're the American Mother Teresa. And so she said, but Dave, you realize that everybody has a purpose, you know, and your purpose just isn't to meet people at the end of the road. But there's a road that leads people here. When people get on it, they don't realize it. They don't know that they're on it. And it's a little bit downhill, so it's easy to walk down the road. It's easier than walking an uphill road, you know? And so they walk the downhill road, and every day they look for the easiest path, and it's always downhill. They don't realize that. And so one day they find themselves so far down the hill that they turn around and they look up, at the disease that they've wrought on their own body, and they don't think they can climb out. So he said, Dave, you need to get on that road, and you need to start walking backwards. You need to greet the people along the way and say, stop, you're going the wrong direction. Stop, you're going the wrong direction. And I could show you how to turn this whole thing around. I could show you how to turn around and start heading in the right direction. But you've got to want to do it. You've got to know that you need to do it. You've got to have the self-love and the respect for life and the desire. You see, you've got to have that. And if you do, then we can take you to where you need to be. And so the sooner you meet them, you know, on that road, the further this way you could get and stop them, then the easier it is, you know. So it started with teaching people how to grow wheatgrass juice, and that wasn't easy. If anybody's ever tried, it can get moldy, flies get around it, your family thinks you're weird. You know, and Rejuvenac is even harder. You gotta ferment stuff, you know, and so it gets to be difficult. So I said, I gotta find a better way. So a Japanese pharmaceutical company wanted to start making Chinese herbs into like American form, and they started drying barley grass into a powder. And they called it barley green. Did anybody know about barley green or green magma? So I went to work for that company, and I said, wow, this is convenient green juice that anyone can have anywhere, anytime. This is revolutionary. So I went to work for that company, and I helped them grow from 7 million to 20 million in just a couple of years, 700,000 to 20 million in just a few years. And the reason why is because Dr. Hagiwara told me that it was pure, organic, and raw. Everything I believed in. But he wouldn't send me any lab reports, none. Now, I'm a lab report guy. Use some, remember that? I was like, you want to see what I do? I travel, and I've got like a stack this thick of scientific reports that I'm reviewing right now. This is how I have fun. And so I wanted that from the Japanese Pharmaceutical Development Company, right? Fancy name. Where's the lab reports? They didn't send me none. What they didn't know is in a previous life, I had made a bunch of money in the stock market. When the stock market crashed in 85, I knew it was going to crash, and so I went short the market, and I made a killing. And I invested all the money in organic farmland, invested all the money in new technology that allowed me to do what Dr. Hagiwara didn't, because he lied to me. His had maltodextrin, it wasn't organic, and it had pesticide residues, and I was furious. So I flew here to Hawaii, he flew over from Japan, and I said, how dare you make a liar out of me by having, and he said, that's a trade secret. And then he fired me. So I took my resources and I bought this amazing piece of land in Utah, an ancient volcanic lake bed that had 80 feet deep of topsoil. Most farms don't have 3 inches. 80 feet deep of topsoil, accumulated over 1,000 years as a lake bed, with fish dying and plants dying, you know what I mean? And shells decomposing for calcium. It's amazing. And it still had an underground water from the ancient lake. And so I turned that into the most incredible organic farmland. It's at 5,000 foot elevation, so it gets a really intense, like, you know, the oxygen is rare, so the plants have to work harder. And so I created a drying process that for the first time in history dries a plant without using temperature or binders or fillers or excipients or preservatives or additives or anything. Every dried powder that you see out there either is simply a plant ground up, which still has the fiber, and you don't want to eat a lot of grass fibers. If you're drinking wheatgrass, you want to press it through a press and drink the juice, you know that. We're the only company on the planet that makes a 100% pure dried juice extract. Now, in case you don't know, the seed that we use was discovered in an Egyptian tomb, and it sat for thousands of years undiscovered My partners germinated 7 grains out of the thousands of grains stored in an Egyptian pyramid, and those 7 grains germinated. We have propagated it out to grow the most amazing ancient wheatgrass called kamut that's in our power ship. But the bottom line is I started my company predicated upon fighting back against everything that was wrong with food. The binders, the fillers, the excipients, the preservatives, the additives, the coloring agents, the flowing agents, the irradiated ingredients, the homogenized ingredients, the pasteurized ingredients, and it goes on and on. There's coatings. Do you guys know what silica dioxide is? Sounds good because it has the word silica in it, right? But look up the word dioxin. That's a poison. What about magnesium stearate? Sounds good because it has the word magnesium in it, right? Look at stearic acid. It's toxic. You know what microcrystalline cellulose is? It's not a nice type of fiber. It is a petrochemical derived from oil in the production of gasoline that has been reclassified as a food and is in over 50% of the supplements you see on the shelves in a health food store. And I don't know one manufacturer who's fighting back against that. Have you guys ever looked on your label and seen like nutrients, 100% of this, 100% of that, 100% of that? Have you ever seen that? What food has exactly 100% of the nutrient that they determine you need? What food has exactly 100%? Well, the reason it says 100% is because they add in a synthetic nutrient to make you believe that whatever you're taking is nutritious. But here's a little story I want to tell you. How many of you do not want GMOs in your diet? Every hand, please. Thank you very much. Well, Cheerios, moms, Cheerios are now non-GMO. Did you know that? Well, if you look at an old box of Cheerios, it had 100%, 100%, 100% of every vitamin and mineral, right? Now you look, it has 3%, 6%, 13%, maybe 17%, but not much on that level. You know why? Because they couldn't find any synthetic nutrients that weren't genetically modified. And if the cereal wasn't going to be genetically modified and they wanted a non-genetically modified food, they had to leave out the genetically modified nutrients. Go into your local health food store and just ask them, why does every one of your products have genetically modified ingredients in it? Because that's what the extra added nutrients are. So we're what's called a whole food nutrition company. That means that we're going to take whole foods and help them to help you. So I'm going to wrap this up with a little story about UCLA. And I'll take some questions if you want. UCLA did a study about diabetes. And they showed that in 21 days, 100% of type 2 diabetics can become asymptomatic, meaning they won't have any symptoms of their diabetes, if they simply followed a basic diet plan. You know what it is? It was called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it worked for 100% of the people who did it. They started with 63 people, only 31 finished. And the reason why is because diabetics, no offense, are diabetics because they don't want to live a strict eating plan. You know what I mean? If they wanted that, they wouldn't be a diabetic. So 31 people finished the study, and 31 people were completely cured of their type 2 diabetes. And here's how it worked. You had to eat 5 servings of whole grains a day, or quality carbohydrates. Didn't have to be whole grains, but quality carbohydrates. You had to have 4 servings of quality deep green vegetables. You had to have 3 servings of quality deep red, purple, or blue fruit. And you had to have 2 servings of lean protein and 1 hour of activity a day. Didn't have to be exercise, just had to be activity. Playing with your kids, swimming, going shopping, doing gardening, it didn't matter. Just activity. And after 21 days, 100% of them were asymptomatic, no diabetes. Is that cool? But how many people were going to live that lifestyle? Clearly, half of them, under doctor supervision, said, I don't want to do this. So guess what I did? You guys know about the 10-day transformation? Does everybody here know a little bit about it already? Anybody who doesn't know much about it? Okay, good. So the 10-day transformation backed into the UCLA study. 3 times a day, you're going to have 2 servings of super high quality, slow burning carbohydrates and whole grain nutrition from the activated barley and the rice bran. A serving of each in every power shake. That's 6 servings of high quality, slow burning carbohydrates and whole grains versus 5. I think we can forgive us for that. Then you're going to have about 5 servings of greens, 5 to 6 servings of greens, because the power shake also has spirulina, wheatgrass, and vegetables. And any source of lean protein in the transformation that you might know about? Yeah, the aminos. Pretty easily are 2 servings of lean protein. We have 3. Dark pigmented fruit, I think we have that in the tart cherry and your watermelon. Not to mention avocado is a fruit, so we got our fruits covered. And 1 hour of activity. We don't have a bottle of that. We were going to. We do. It's called Super Male Formula. No, I'm joking. It's now called Super Life, so that joke doesn't work anymore. But the bottom line is 1 hour of activity. And so the bottom line is we've got that. We have the UCLA study in a jar. Did you guys realize that? Is that not cool? So when you study diabetes like lifestyle, what do they tell you? Eat every 2 hours. You guys have heard that, right? What are you doing in the transformation? Power shake aminos, power shake aminos. I'm sorry, aminos, power shake, aminos, power shake. Every 2 hours. And people tell me, but Dave, I'm so confused. I look at the tart cherry and there's 25 grams of sugar per serving, and then you want me to take that before I go to bed. What are you, crazy? Well, both things are true. Yes, I'm crazy, and yes, I want you to take the tart cherry, because it's actually been proven to reverse metabolic disease. It actually stabilizes your blood sugar. A sugar that stabilizes blood sugar? What are we crazy? A fat that burns fat? What, are we crazy? Well, yeah, we have both. You see, the fat that is in the rice bran solubles is actually clinically proven to increase adiponectin, and adiponectin is how your body chooses to burn fat as energy. If you don't have adiponectin, think of adipose, right? We don't have a lot of lipase in our body. Lipase is the enzyme that breaks fat down. We use something else called adiponectin. Remember I told you, oh, that was earlier today, sorry. I was discussing how cavemen burned a lot more fat for energy than we did because they didn't have much sugar, they had more fat. And our body wants to burn fat for energy, but it doesn't know how because it needs more oxygen and it needs adiponectin. Now we can create more oxygen, that's not a problem, but creating adiponectin is more difficult. The rice bran solubles increases our body's production of adiponectin dramatically. So during the 10-day transformation, you're going to have a fat-burning metabolism. And that's why people are dropping the right kind of weight. So the UCLA study is the reason why our product and our program is so effective for diabetics. But the reason it's so effective in helping you lose weight is because it completely satisfies your body at the cellular level. When you have total cellular satisfaction, you shut down hunger signals. When you shut down hunger signals, you have self-control. And that's what Purion gives you. So there's 4 ways that most people lose weight, and every diet that ever came throughout history is in one of those 4. One of them is dehydration. Water weighs 8 pounds a gallon, and if you lose 3 gallons of water, you lose 24 pounds. You fit in that little black dress, you feel great, and then you have 1 sip of wine and you pass out. Because when you're dehydrated, alcohol affects you really bad. Hydration, it's temporary. The Hollywood diet, you just drank fruit juice all day and you peed all night. and then you lost 24 pounds in a week, but you were dehydrated. What about starvation? Starvation diets work, why wouldn't they? You're going to eat fewer calories than you burn. This is simple mathematics. If you eat fewer calories than you burn, then you're going to burn some fat, you're going to lose some weight. And we, as everybody knows, and as I've discussed time and time again, when you do that, you trigger a starvation reflex that causes you to store fat when that diet is over. So that doesn't work. What about stimulation? What about just getting some pills from the doctor? Or the Hollywood diet, just snort a few lines every day, you're never hungry. Of course that works temporarily, but ultimately you burn out your adrenal glands and your hormones spin out of control and you're fat the rest of your life, and you don't know why. So there's a lot of ways that people have used to lose weight. Some are even surgical. But there's only one real way to lose weight, and that's to let your body know that you are nourishing it every day. If you're nourishing your body adequately every day, then all of the signals from your cells that are starving, if your cells are starving for nutrition, they're sending starvation signals. The reason why these products work is because they're going to satisfy your body on the level it was intended to be satisfied on. If you go into the stores today and you don't want Purium products, that's okay, but I'm going to give you the list of what you need to look for. If you never have Purium products, I'm still going to teach you how to have a very healthy life. This is all you need to do. You need to make sure that no food you eat has a hydrogenated oil or a partially hydrogenated oil or a trans fat, okay? So make sure that no food you eat has that, because that will cause cancer. Make sure that no food you eat has an artificial color, because artificial colors occupy the receptor sites in your brain that keep your brain from swelling and keep your joints from swelling. So don't eat anything with artificial colors. Artificial sweeteners actually are more addictive than crack cocaine, and they trigger an insulin response that makes you addicted to them. So don't have any artificial sweeteners. No high fructose corn syrup. I'm okay with sugar because our body knows what to do with sugar, but nothing else. I like stevia, it's okay. Lohan is better. I love coconut sap sugar the best. It's my favorite sweetener. It's the most sustainable sweetener on the planet, and that's why I like it. But don't have any artificial sweeteners. And again, make sure that if you have sugar or salt or grain in it that isn't made white, you have white flour that's been enriched, no enriched ingredients, and make sure it's non-GMO. And the best way to do that is to buy organic. And if you do that, then you're going to begin to send a signal to everybody who makes food. I already got the message, okay? But everybody else needs to get the message. And if every time you spend your dollars, you're voting. If every time you spend your dollars, you're voting, then you're going to make me very proud of you. Because has anybody ever voted in a municipal election? Yeah. And what if the person you wanted to win didn't win and you're disappointed? That happens a lot, right? What if the person you wanted to win did win and you're disappointed? That happens a lot too. The reason why is because we don't vote at the ballot box, we vote with our dollars. Whatever you're willing to spend money on, there will become more of. Whatever you refuse to spend money on, there will become less of. That's called supply and demand. That means that you have the power, you're in control, you will dictate the future based upon what you spend your money on. And of course I want you to become part of this movement, this Purium Ohana that is willing to stand up and be counted for. But outside of Purium, you need to look at the rest of the world. You need to begin to impact that as well. So when you get that personal wealth that will come from changing the world in a positive way, because we have that opportunity, what are you going to do with that wealth? How are you going to spend that money? The most powerful vote in the world doesn't come at the ballot box. It comes from your wallet, because they want this so bad. They want this so bad. Here's what a question I want to leave you with. If there was a car seat that injured a child, how fast would it be recalled? Like that, right? If there was a toy that a baby could put in his mouth and swallow and choke on, They got lawyers suing that company, right? And that toy's off the market. If mothers stand up and protest against some TV station because they put inappropriate matter on a show, that show gets pulled. We have marched from one end of the island. You have marched from one end of the island to the next. You have protested. You have voted. You have stood up. I've been arrested. Why are they not listening? Why are they not listening? If this was a car seat or a baby's toy, genetically modified organisms would have been pulled from the market a long time ago, just out of fear that the people would have a negative impression by the public. And these companies don't care. They have no fear that we don't love them. Isn't that scary? When a company that wants your money, that wants you to buy from them, that wants you to love them, doesn't care anymore, that means they have so much power. You don't matter. Are you going to let them tell you you don't matter? Really? I don't see one person out there in this audience that doesn't matter. Don't let them treat you that way.